Welcome to the Grumpy Hustle Podcast with your host, Ray Scooney, and me, Grumpy Gamer. This week, episode number 2.
Let's go.
What up, everybody? What's going on?
What up? How you doing, man?
Doing good, bro. It's been a busy week. Busy week.
Yeah, it's been busy for sure, but tonight is the night.
I don't know, it's gonna get hairy, bro.
It's gonna get hairy. it's gonna might get a little corny too. Tonight's the night though. Tonight's the night. We right here on the Grumpy Hustle Podcast, we're gonna find out if Bigfoot is real or not.
You mean the Abominable Snowman?
Yeti.
Sasquatch?
Nikki Two Steps. well, anything. We're gonna find out tonight if he's real, baby.
Sounds
What's
good.
up,
Sounds good. Okay.
How was? Let me stop you. How was your week, bro? How was your week?
Busy, bro. Sold my house. So I was like
Shout out.
prepping to sell the house, and like our realtor kept like coming to like, hey, we're making changes. Like, okay, we're gonna up the price. Okay, now we got the photos back. Like, oh, we're up the price again. We're like we feel like she was going too high. But like she's such a freaking piranha. Like, man, she just like, or maybe Pitbull is better. Like, she just like went after that shit, and like like the house sold in 24 hours. Like, it was crazy.
Woo!
So yeah. So
Give
that means that's the last step for me to move to Bellingham. So
Hey,
you'll be seeing a lot more of this guy pretty soon. So.
All right, love it. Let's get into it.
What about you? How was your week?
It's good, man. I was still on vacation, so I'm not even back tomorrow. I'm taking tomorrow off, and I'll be back on Tuesday. So I did a little bit of yard work today. I got my oldest son to do it. So I kind of, for the first time, so my oldest son was able to use the push mower and do pretty well. So nice. I may have just found my new at-home employee.
You're hired.
You're hired, and he gets paid with room and board. So that's it. He's got to work his way up. He's got to work his way up. Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Well, before we get into it, I want to go ahead and just say thank you to everybody that is taking the time out of their day to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like, we've had a lot of support there, and I just can't thank you guys enough for that. It means a lot to me and Ryan. We've been working hard trying to get this going, and it's going to keep getting better and better, but it's definitely a struggle, but we appreciate the support from that. And also the podcast on Spotify and the platforms, we've been seeing download rates go up on that as well, which is great for us, getting more exposure. I do want to apologize. I know a lot of the people are probably using iPhones and they prefer to use the Apple podcast app because it works really, really well. I understand why you'd want to, but for some reason, Apple's verification is a little harder than the rest of them. So hopefully I'll get that figured out with episode 2 this week. And I'll go ahead and backload episode 1 as well. So the audio only version will be there. So appreciate you guys' patience with that, but we are working on it for sure.
Yep. Amazing. We'll get it done. But nonetheless, let's get right into it.
So
Bigfoot.
So I just want to get out there right from the get go, bro. Like, where do you stand on it? Is he real? Is he not real?
I don't know. I'm still deliberation is still out on that. I've been looking, obviously, a lot of the stuff that you're going to find. You have a lot of videos, right? The one thing you always see repeatedly are like these grainy videos.
Yeah.
Like, and let's get like, there's been people recently with iPhones that have seen Bigfoot.
I know.
But for whatever reason, there's some, like all of a sudden that the lens on the iPhone all of a sudden becomes, the 1992 Motorola Razr. Yeah. So like I'm
a Polaroid. No.
Yeah. So it's, and all the stuff that we see, or kind of that I've seen over the course of this last week, kind of just digging into, whether or not Bigfoot is real, what stuff we're seeing out there. A lot of it, you see a lot of, footprints, right? They're upwards of 16 inches long.
Yep.
That's just the majority of what people see, and then they see hair.
I'll see the hair. Yeah.
Right. And so, like, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff out there right now that's still super, super questionable. People make, you have the one video. What's the one video out there with, it was the Roger Patterson Bigfoot case, right? That was the one where him and Bob Giblin up in Northern California, Humboldt County, right? Humboldt County is where a lot of this stuff is where people are have been seeing Bigfoot. And there's still obviously massive sightings, today. But the one where Bigfoot's kind of like swaying his arms back and forth, is that a real video? Is that not a real video? There is a guy out there, and I apologize, I did not catch his name, but there is a guy out there that claims that he was the one in the suit. So again, it lays doubt on it.
Well, I think you maybe just transitioned to what I want to talk about, which is, so first off, I'll put my opinion out there. And I think he's fake as shit. So that's where I stand on that. But one of the things that I found, and it really hit me hard, and it was, I watched a few documentaries, and they talked about the business of Bigfoot, right? That it's a business, and not only is it a business, it's one of the biggest businesses out there. That pretty much, the reality is anybody can dip their toes in that pond, as long as you got the willingness to do it and be committed to it. Like, you can get somebody out there, and like one of them was I think they approved it. Somebody was, a guy was like in a ghillie suit, right? Like, he was like in a fur covered ghillie suit, and he was out there, and they were doing it for YouTube likes, bro, because they were trying to make some YouTube money, like. But it's a business. People will go out of their way trying to get famous or trying to make money from social media. So, I mean, this has been going on since the mid 50s, for what I saw.
Yeah, I think was 1958 when all this started. There's a guy by the name of, what's his name? Tom Bacardi. Tom Bacardi has an estimated value on the Bacardi's Bigfoot project investment of $10 billion.
That's disgusting.
10 billion, guys.
Hope you bought some Dogecoin.
Yeah, we don't want to get on the topic of that right now. That's been killing me. But yeah. Well, I didn't buy back into it. But yeah. So Tom Bacardi's Bigfoot Project Investment Inc. That it's estimated at $10 billion, and trust me, he is not the only one out there that has this kind of value put into Bigfoot, right? And so,
I mean, think about it. Like, also, they own real estate in some of those areas as well. Like, or you're saying Humboldt County. I guarantee you, there's people that buy properties up there for nothing other than using for Airbnbs or motel hotels as some sort of attraction that they're charging for the chance to see Bigfoot, right? Like, that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
There's people out there that do that shit. Like, so you like scary shit. Like, you pay to go get scared, right? I guarantee there's people that go and do the same thing for the shit for Bigfoot. Yeah. I guarantee it.
Yeah. So I was, I 100% agree. There's a documentary that's out there right now. I forgot what it was called, but there's actually, and there's this huge, now there's two sides to this. And there's a county out in, I want to say it is in Oregon, and there's a group of people, a large group of people that go out and they hunt for Bigfoot. And the biggest issue with everybody that everybody has right now with is Bigfoot realizes there's no body, right? There's never been a body found, which is, if we look at it, we know that if you find a body of Bigfoot, of Sasquatch, of whatever you want to call it, then it's real, right? Then it's validated at that point. So there's a group of people that go out and they hunt for Bigfoot. They're looking to kill Bigfoot of somehow, some way. They have this they have all these setups, these camps, people set up in all these different parts of the county to catch Bigfoot. And so when I see that, and there's also on the other side, in that same county, there's another group of people that don't want Bigfoot dead because they think it's murder. So that's another issue that we see a lot is you have Bigfoot out there that people don't know what it is, right? If it's real, if it's not real, is it a person? Is it not a person? What happens if we kill one?
Man,
right? Are they endangered?
Bro, he's not in danger. He's that homie's got witness protection. He's got WITSEC, bro. Like the government's got that guy's back, right? Because that's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, the government's covered it up. The government's covered it up. Like they're protecting the acknowledgement of Bigfoot, right? Like,
Right.
Like, yeah.
But I here's the thing. I think, and Prad asked a question, are there tracks of, and there's plenty of tracks out there, Prad.
That's one of the biggest things they find, yeah.
Right. That's usually the number one thing they find almost in every night that they go out searching for Bigfoot. They find a footstep, and then they put a cast around it, and then they mold it. It's for evidence, right? And so, like I said, I think they had like one up to 16 inches long, which is like one of the longest or biggest recording footprints out there. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things. You have footprints, you have hair, and you have, sometimes they say that they have found blood samples out there that they've sent to labs at UCLA, and they've come back with the same DNA as monkeys or gorillas or apes. So again, could someone have procured a sample of blood from a monkey, blood from a gorilla? Probably. I'm sure you could buy it, right? I'm sure that's out there. And so, but going back to that story, is that there's another group of people in the same county that don't want Bigfoot to be killed, and so now there's laws that are being put out there that if you kill a Yeti or a Bigfoot, it sounds crazy to say that
you kill a unicorn.
If you kill a unicorn, yeah, then you could be prosecuted. I did hear the story when you mentioned government, right? The government wants to cover it up. I've sat and looked at roughly about a week's worth of information about Bigfoot, and I don't see any reason why the government would want to cover this up. It just doesn't make sense, because if we look at, in my point of view, if we look at, what have we ever seen Bigfoot do?
Walk.
Right. We've seen him walk, right? We've never seen him attack anything. We've never seen him kill anything.
Bro, that swagger he's got, bro, I'm so scared.
He's gay.
So scared.
The arms swing deep, bro. I've seen him. But you know what I'm saying, right? There's been no proof of anything that has been done, that he's killed anybody or anything, or
he's
right now,
like 70 now, right? Like his grandpa status. He's fine. Leave the poor guy
alone. I mean, who knows, right? I don't know. The age of one Bigfoot, I don't know. It could be 100, it could be 50, it could be 10. I don't know. I don't know the age of an average Bigfoot, but according to a lot of the people that I've or the articles that I've read, they have males and females, so they procreate, I would assume, and they could have baby ones. I don't know. Right, so
baby Bigfoots,
baby Yetis, some
BBFs.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we still to this day, right? Unless we have a body, I think it's going to be very difficult for anybody out there, if you're a believer or not, to know if he's real or not.
So, I mean, I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask: do you think they'll ever find a body?
I mean, I hope so. I hope so.
So you hope so, but do you think they will?
No. And I look at, and the reason why I say no is that, for the simple fact, it's been 1958 is when the first official sighting was found. They had a picture of Bigfoot.
Yep.
I think that photo sold for $5,000, which was crazy back in 1958. However, if it's been 1958, how many years is that? That's over 70 years.
Yep.
Right? Over 70 years, and they haven't found a body. So that, to me, that means that either none of them has ever died. If they're real, that means we know that they live longer than 70 years, or or they don't exist.
Well, he's living out his years with the Hendersons, bro.
Yeah. I mean, but if you've seen some of these pictures, though, right?
Press says he's a hide and seek king.
if he's playing hide and seek, that's the best fucking hider I've ever came across. Oh. But you've seen some of these photos, right? Some of these photos are would be hard to fix. They're hard to argue against, right? And so
I would say some of the older photos are hard to argue against. In today's day and age, it's easy to argue against them because people can Photoshop just about anything these days, including the authentic grain and blurriness. So
yeah, right.
But back before that was easily a thing, we'll say let's go back to 90s and before, and where there's plenty of photos that have popped up for this. I would definitely say it's a little harder to fake and would take a lot more effort. So somebody that was either really good at like some sort of like stage costume or makeup or something like had to be good, like or some sort of prosthesis to make themselves bigger and taller to take the stance of what we expect a Bigfoot to be. I couldn't find a number of how tall they expect him to be. Have you seen anything like that?
No. So if you do, I guess like it's right around, you have 16. I think there's a footprint that I'm looking at that's 17, almost 18 inches long. I mean, they got to be pushing 8.5 feet, 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
Right. And I would argue anywhere from 700 to 1,000 pounds. So, if they are, as Praz said it, if they're playing hide and seek, they're damn good, because I don't know how you hide an 8-9 foot tall creature with 1,000 pounds and 18 inches of feet.
Right.
How are they so elusive?
Well,
people.
Well, here's what. Sorry, I was going to say is on that note. So people by nature are curious, right? So they go out to all these areas. They go hiking. They go exploring. They go in ravines. They go in caves and go spelunking, areas where where they may be hiding, right? So like the humans go in these places all the time. There are not that many places in the U.S. that are unexplored, right? Like they're utterly dangerous, but then that I wouldn't think that Bigfoot is exactly, what's the word I want to use? I don't think he's a gymnast, hopping up and down these things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's the part of me was like, well, where in the hell is he? Like, because we got people exploring these areas all the damn time, and also these days with drones and helicopters and like all sorts of crap they can do. Like heat spot, like heat signature monitoring. Like, where is he at? You know what I mean?
Right, but there's people out there that have that equipment that go in there and say that they see him on a heat seeking, on like one of those guns, right, or those monitors. And yo, Paul, what up, man? Thanks for coming in.
What's up, Paul?
Talking about Bigfoot here, but I'm looking at it right now. The majority of the sightings are up the West Coast, right, from all the way from LA up to all the way up through Canada.
Yep.
Right, and so that's a large portion of. There's a couple in the Midwest, handful in the Midwest, and then a lot kind of when you're hitting Dallas and east, all the way up through Boston and Miami. I don't know what Bigfoot's doing in Miami. First of all, if he's up there,
Bigfoot's take vacations too, bro.
right. I mean, we don't. Again, I mean, I'm sure there's backwoods in Florida, obviously with the swamps and whatnot.
Sure.
But where? I guess where would they go the most? I mean, if they are real, a woodsy area obviously would be the most reclusive spot for them to be. But again, there's so many, I don't know how many sightings. If we can find that out, how many sightings there were, then I think just based on what I see, it's just, I mean, there's hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of Bigfoot sightings that I've seen, just by scrolling the internet. And so
lots of them.
We have, Paul says Bigfoot lives in caves in the Pacific Northwest. Now, if that's true, Paul, where would you say, where are these caves at? Because what I'm seeing is a lot of, they're hiding out in woods and in caves. But again, I don't think we know enough. With all the sightings that we've seen or that we've heard about, why haven't we seen a body? I think that comes down to the biggest question, Paul, is when we're looking at all this evidence of Bigfoot, why haven't we found a body? Where are they? I think that's my biggest question is, and here's the thing. I want to believe in Bigfoot, right? Also, can I please just get a clean picture? And that's the other big thing, right? It's like in a day and age, like we said, where we had drones, we have camera phones that are fucking phenomenal. Why is it for whatever reason we go to take a picture and we can't seem to get a clear shot? That makes it so tough for me to want to believe, because I feel if I was out there and I got a chance to catch what could be a Bigfoot, my hand's going to be a little shaky. Obviously, we know that, right? You're going to get nervous and scared, but you're going to get a picture where you should be able to see it much more clear than what we've ever seen before. I'm just saying, right?
Bro, they're not using their cell phone. They've got their old camera out there. They're holding it in their hand. They're cranking the wheel on that thing, bro. That's what's going on.
Yeah. I think I was looking also UFOs. Well, I've seen some shit, but Bigfoot, well, and that's the thing. I just, there's there's over 1,700 sightings in California alone over the course of 60, 70 years. So out of the 1,700 sightings, right, has every one of those been checked out? What did we see when we went there? Right? Do you think, I mean, just like with aliens, right? Aliens, to quickly sidetrack on them, like people for years made fun of all those people, right? And people did not think that aliens were real forever, right? All the way back to Roswell and all that shit. And now all of a sudden, the government's coming out saying that UFOs and aliens are real. Do you think at some point the government is going to come out and say, yes, Bigfoot is real? Do you see that happening? I don't know. I don't know. Bigfoot is definitely tough. I think the idea of Bigfoot is cool. I think if some big huge gorilla that's been morphed into a bigger gorilla would be cool, right? I just it's going to be tough just because there's not a whole lot of pictures in there.
It's a hard sell for sure. It's a hard sell.
Yeah, I agree. But again, what do we do with all the people that believe in Bigfoot? Are they ever going to stop believing in Bigfoot?
I think that there's a lot of things people believe in that may or may not be true. And good luck convincing them otherwise. So
Paul, I'm looking over, and Paul had mentioned he's a time traveling ape. What's crazy? What I've also heard about Bigfoot is that they run or they move extremely fast. And so that's why the reason why people aren't getting fuzzy pictures, or they're getting, they're not hitting their shots when they're shooting at it. There's all these things that people give excuses as to why they don't get a good picture or get a good eye on Bigfoot, is that he is extremely fast. He or she or they are extremely fast. when moving. And so
look at you and your pronouns: him, he, they, her.
I'm trying. Hey, we got to try out here. We got to try and do our best, bro. It's in a time like this, man, it's crazy not to be, as correct as possible. But what do you feel about the Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin video? Because you got to think that was done in right around the 1970s, early or late 1960s, early 1970s, where he created that film. That film was only a few seconds long.
Yep.
So in the 70s, in the 60s, 70s, that it's hard to manipulate.
Hard, but not impossible. Especially, here's the thing. So look at, okay. Let's change somewhere else. So Disneyland was open in the 70s, right?
Okay.
And they've got all sorts of characters, right?
Yeah.
They dress up and they have got like prosthetic experts and mask makers and all sorts of things. People, they come in to like modify these people to make them more realistic for the characters that they're portraying, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to say that somebody didn't know somebody or wasn't related to somebody that had some of those skills, or was just knew enough to be dangerous to where they didn't just manipulate the situation, right? I mean, I would. So
is there any evidence of that though?
Is there any evidence that it's not?
I mean, yes and no. They haven't came out and said that video's been altered in any way.
Well, the video may not be altered, but that doesn't mean that what they were shooting wasn't fake as hell. Real. Yeah. I mean,
but does it look fake? Have you seen it?
I mean, yeah, for as blurry as it is, yes.
Blurry, yeah. I mean, but again, it's the 1970s. Prosthetics have come a long way. They have. Yeah. I mean, things, but as it's crazy. As time has gone on, the image of Bigfoot hasn't changed a whole lot. You know what I mean?
So one thing I didn't look, you actually just brought up something that made me think about it. What is the most recent sighting? What year?
I honestly, I would argue it's this year, but I didn't look that up, but we can do that right now here. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. So there was over 2,000 sightings in Bigfoot in the on the Quinault Indian Reservation. That's in Washington. That's where it's been sighted, ideally in the most on the West Coast. And so
February 11th, 2020.
February 11th, 2020. So just recently, I mean, about a year, a little over a year ago.
Says it's Ohio though.
I mean, there's a lot of
homie's getting around.
They move fast, bro. Is what I've heard. 88 miles an hour, according to Paul here. In the chat, they
to be exact,
Harry and Henderson was a Bigfoot.
88 miles an hour. Were they planning at the same time they were building the DeLorean?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
So why? So let me ask you something then. Why are you immediately? Why are you immediately dismissive of it?
Because that's my nature. Seeing is believing for a lot of things for me, but I'm also a skeptic, and I'm also somebody that I enjoy sciences. I can appreciate it. I also understand a lot of it, and I'm also into technology and modification of things. So like I've built things, and I know what can be done. So, and if somebody's got the brain-haired idea or the skill or whatever it is, they can do lots of shit to convince people. And when you're looking at a video that's that far away, and it's blurry as shit, and where you're missing definition, and your mind fills in the blanks of so many things to make it look more real than it is. I don't believe it, not at all.
So, do you believe in aliens?
In the form that we are shown that they exist, no. No.
You're talking about on the movies.
Yeah, the way that they're portrayed, right? I
So
don't.
what
But
is it?
I
But why are you
do-
more convinced of an alien than an 8-foot ape?
I wouldn't say I'm more
First of all, 'cause-
convinced.
'cause-
I'm working in like the odds of probability, right? And in our entire universe, to say that we're alone just seems ludicrous to me. Like, how
Right.
are we the only ones? I just don't see how.
Right. But what we're also looking at is simply that how likely it is that there's a larger sized ape that's out there, which we know already exists, right? We know that gorillas exist. We know that apes exist, right? We've seen them. They already exist. So now what they're saying is virtually these Bigfoot Yetis, they're just very large apes. And so you're saying that that's less likely to be true than something that you've never seen before.
I mean, are they finding smaller apes in those areas?
It's I don't know.
Because the chance of all of them being Bigfoot status is highly unlikely.
I guess what would be the height and weight requirement to then go from a very large ape to a Bigfoot?
Did you see what I'm saying? The just the chances of all of them being that big, especially if they're procreating. I mean, they're hiding all the time. What else they have to do? I mean, you think there'd be more of them and more sightings, right?
I mean, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I agree, because Egyptian pyramids, who think that men built those on things today, it's been disclosed. It's been disclosed by the military already. It has been, yeah. And there is. I do want to get into UFOs. Are you talking about? You're talking about.
Oh,
there's been 8 foot to 8
at the very least 300 pounds. At the very least.
For you're talking about for Bigfoot.
Yeah, well, he's put in the 8 foot tall, 300 plus pounds. I mean,
oh yeah, for the size in order to become considered a Bigfoot. Right.
Well, I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm pushing 300. So like, and I'm 5'11", 6 foot. Like, so they've got to be quite a bit more than that, especially if they're all muscle. Like, they've got to be considerably heavier than that.
Right.
Like,
yeah, they got to be upwards of 800 to 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, you would think. Like, you know, how much does a gorilla weigh?
How much does a gorilla weigh?
Yeah.
A lot, probably. But yeah, for aliens, yeah, 8 feet tall, 300 plus pounds, but they're not living off the land. That's true.
So Western gorilla, 350 pounds.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're even 6 feet tall, right? Maybe 6 feet tall.
That would be fucking terrifying if they were.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, that'd be terrifying to see an 8 foot tall, 350 pound gorilla. But again, I think I want to do a lot more.
5 feet.
I want to do a lot more. 5 feet tall?
5 feet on average, yeah.
Damn, they're not very tall.
Nope.
But they will fuck somebody up, though.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't cross one.
It fuck somebody up, though. No, I would. Yeah, I wouldn't either. But again, I think there's so much information that's out there about Bigfoot, and again, I think you hit it on the head. Do you think that people have been so brainwashed by the business aspect of Bigfoot that people are just being forced to believe?
Okay, I'm going to get into dangerous territory with my answer on this one. I think that, if anything, the last 4 years have shown us that people are very easily brainwashed.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think you're on.
I'm not gonna just jump right out and say what I'm saying, but I think that people are very easily coerced, and
I think in a day and age, like you said, where we are very sensitive to anything outside the norm, right? It's almost like you're being people are forcing opinions on other people that are turning into somehow factual, and that's a scary thing, I think, for a lot of things that are out there, especially with COVID and everything that's going on. People are they're oversensitive, overly sensitive.
Well, you'll have to confirm for me. Like, so I'm doing something with my kid that, she tends to take a lot of things that she sees and hears on social media as fact. And I'm constantly going, baby girl, no. I'm like, you fact check, you look this up, you cross reference, like you take nothing for granted and believe nothing just because somebody told it to you doesn't mean it's real. You don't know where they got their information from. You don't know how true their information is. She comes on me all the time, like, Dad, you know this? I'm like, that's not true. Well, no, it was here. It's like, that doesn't mean that it's true, and so we have an entire generation that thinks this way, and they haven't been taught to dig deeper, right? And right. I think a lot of adults do this too, like where they'll take information from the media, or they'll get their information from one media source who's pushing their agenda, instead of, not only look at news, okay, cross-reference it with, research data and actual fact, like articles that have been done, investigative reporting that's been done, like look at all these things and come to the decision based on the facts that you've researched yourself, right? Not what you've been spoon-fed. And I think the same mentality can be said the same for Bigfoot, and that is that monkey see, monkey do. Like, okay, people believe this. Okay, I guess I do too. Maybe it's real. Okay, this is a real thing now. All of a sudden, right?
Right.
With very little factual information. So,
and I think Paul in the chat said echo chambers of misinformation. Right? Yeah, exactly. It's true, and I think a lot of these people on social media, like you said, people take everything at face value. Right? will be the first one to say I scroll through TikTok constantly, and there's a crazy amount of misinformation that is being put out there every single day, and these kids are getting paid thousands of dollars to drop this misinformation. Even if you know that it's misinformation, what TikTok is doing is putting it all over everyone's For You page. People are liking it, people are generating money. So what is the incentive to stop that? They don't care if they lie to people. They're getting paid. Right? And so we look at Bigfoot as kind of the 1960s version of what TikTok is today, and people are making money off of selling this idea that there's this elusive creature out there that is killing chickens and dogs and people and all of this other nonsense. But
well, you bring up a good point though, because in my research, I didn't really see too much information talking about remains left over of these sorts of things. Okay, so Bigfoot may be the king of hide and seek, but is he also the king of hide and seek and burying bodies and shit? Because like, where's the remains from all these things? You know, and then if there were remains from these things, well, don't you think they'd see unusual teeth patterns and go, well, that wasn't a wolf, that wasn't a coyote, that wasn't a grizzly bear, this was something completely different. Like where's that information? Because I haven't seen that information pop up anywhere. All I've seen is grainy pictures and videos, and footprints that are often lacking texture and definition, and you know what I mean? Like they're a little too perfect sometimes.
So what do you say about again, who digs in the woods for fun? The only time you do that is true, Praz. But again, in actually looking deeper into this, it's gone back all the way to the 1800s where they've seen Bigfoot sightings. And so I would say I was reading something in 1924, there was a group of prospectors in a cabin along the side of shoulder of Mount St. Helens in Washington State. They claimed that they were attacked by a group of ape men. Later, one of the prospectors admitted that they weren't unprovoked attacks, that he had taken pot shots at the creatures earlier in the day.
Interesting.
So in 1924,
okay,
which is obviously it's almost 100 years ago. How do you explain how do you explain stuff like that?
Well, I don't know. Honestly.
So there's so much information that's out there about, you know, things that have happened by other people, and Native Americans. We're seeing these these hairy primate creatures, you know, in the 19th century, the early 20th century. Like, Native Americans weren't, I would argue, weren't really ones to lie, right? I don't believe that was probably in their culture to lie, right? I think really bad things would happen to Native Americans who lied within their group. So have things evolved since then? Are they going extinct? Like, were you seeing, like you said, you had the last sighting was in February of 2020.
Yep.
Right. So are they going extinct? Are they becoming harder and harder to locate?
I mean, it's possible. You know, when we talk about the Bigfoot thing, I also think of like Loch Ness Monster, right? That's another one, right? Nessie.
But there are sightings of. But again, we've only discovered what was like less than 15% of the ocean.
Right.
So that leaves upwards of 85% of the ocean still undiscovered.
I know. I thought that was a lake, though. I didn't think it was an ocean, was it? I thought it was a lake. I thought it was a really large lake.
I mean, that might have been the mythical tale. But I'm sure it's in the ocean. But I mean, there's still creatures in the ocean that we have not discovered. Who's to say there's not some massive? I mean, we know that there's massive octopuses out there, the Kraken, right? That's a thing.
Giant
That's
octopus.
a real thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And so who's to say that we don't dig deeper into the ocean and find that there's some creatures that, you know, they live in the dark depths beyond the Challenger Deep.
So Paul says, you know, what if it's Neanderthal man? I mean, it's a thought.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, essentially somehow one still underdeveloped version of man that is like stuck in time.
But would that mean? What would that mean for evolution?
Well, you're getting into a much bigger topic at that point in time.
Right. And so, you know, that
I think then we start touching on many things. We start touching on evolution. We start touching on religion. We start touching on many, many things at that point in time.
Right. And that's always something we can look at. So we can look at it a different time.
I'm like, because that's a whole episode within itself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
but they are, right. It's part of a man that didn't evolve. Right. It very well could be, you know, what is it? And Neanderthals are you know, what they've seen is that they're shorter. They have shorter limbs. They have shorter arms. They have shorter legs. They're shorter torsos. Again, very similar to a gorilla or an ape.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They didn't evolve. How do they grow that tall and heavy? That was kind of my thought too, because they were compared to like apes, and if apes were like, you know, 5 feet tall, you know, and they weren't galloping like a horse. They weren't fast at all. So,
right.
Like, it just seems unlikely. So I think my stance is not real. Government's not trying to hide anything. I think they got better shit to do. Like,
you know, I still think I still think it's out there. I don't know. I still think that there's something out there that, you know, could be out there. I don't know. I look at, and the reason that I say that is because I look at the bigger picture and say that there are hundreds of thousands of people out there that spend their lives searching for Bigfoot. And,
yep.
You know, it would be sad for it to come out that Bigfoot doesn't exist, and that these people spend their life trying to find it. You know, would it be? I don't know. It goes both ways, and I use that. You know, the people that were firm believers of aliens for years. These guys were discriminated on. These guys were hated on. These guys were made fun of. These guys were outcasted by so many people, and all of a sudden, you know, just not too recently, that it came out that aliens are real, and there's so much relief and so much "I told you so" and so much like, holy shit, I'm not crazy. There was aliens. You know, that was revolutionary for them. You know, when we look at people who believe in Bigfoot, and for them to know that at some point Bigfoot isn't real, and they spent the mass majority of their life searching for it, I think it would be very tough for them to digest. And so for their sake, I would like to think that there's something out there that resembles Bigfoot. Paul says, just a theory. Let's talk about the Bilderberg group. Paul, you got to tell me about the I don't know. I don't know enough about the Bilderberg group.
Unfamiliar with it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely will be put on the back burner for another episode. I think at the end of the day here today, folks, we I think the verdict is out. I think we don't know anything more about Bigfoot than we did prior. I think Nick here is a non-believer. I am a hopeful believer that something is out there for people to feel supported and happy about.
I just realized that I was moving back to Washington and that I'm on Amazon looking for a ghillie suit. So what were you saying? Hey, I got a 35 millimeter handheld Polaroid. Do you think you can film me for a few minutes?
Yeah, I'll put it on your Tinder page. Don't worry. I'll put it on your Tinder page. You'll be good. Firm believer in Bigfoot. My man, Nikki Two Steps. So you're saying just because there are a lot of people and are feeling bad for them, you support them? That's not that I support them, you know. So I don't believe in Bigfoot. Yeah, it's not that I'm supporting it because I feel bad for them. I take a step back and I look at all of these people that have spent their lives searching for something. I would hope for their sake that he is real, that it is real. But to what end though? Like, what does that do for them? Like, it validates the amount of time and efforts that they put into searching for this thing. And correct me wrong, it could be.
But what has humanity gained from that?
Nothing.
Right?
Absolutely nothing.
Like,
however,
do you feel the same way for people that spend half their paychecks on lottery tickets and scratchers, hoping that they're going to win? Like in the same way they hope that they're going to find Bigfoot.
I mean, I hope they would win, or they're losing a lot of money. I would hope that, right? And I think I naturally feel bad for people who spent their life searching for something that ideally wouldn't be real. And the evidence that all is there's evidence that shows that there may be, and there's evidence that shows that there's clearly not, right? There's so much stuff that's made up, which every time a photo comes out or a video comes out that's not real, all as it does, it validates the people who say it's Bigfoot's not real, right? Anytime a video is fake, they're like, okay, all these other must be fake. Everything else must be fake, right? And so there are people out there that I think constantly try to put out fake shit and get caught, and then that just devalues, you know, some of the videos that are legit, or the footprints or anything else.
Well, think about this. So we are now in a time and age to where technology is so far advanced compared to where we were, and I think we have a long way to go. But Let's think about all the people we see on social media and TikTok and doing all these amazing things with 3D printers, right? Printing Iron Man suits and printing all sorts of prostheses for themselves for Comic-Cons and things like that. Motherfuckers are going to be printing Bigfoot feet with movable claws and shit to try to replicate movement and like trying to.
You don't think that's already happened?
No, that's what I'm telling you. I think it is already happened. I think it's already a thing. They're taking that shit into
from the 1900s and fuck even earlier with the footprints. How do those get made?
My assumption would be carved out of wood or something along those lines.
That's fair. That's fair. But look at UFO videos. A lot are fakes. There are some very real videos. I will say I've seen some shit in my own life with my own eyes. So, right. And I know that, Paul, the reason I tried to call you the other day is because I wanted to get you on one of these fabulous podcasts. But again, Paul is very difficult to get a hold of. So,
yeah, Paul.
Paul. But, there's things out there that are clearly fake, and there's things that are out there that are harder to ignore. But I think at the end of the day, there's not enough evidence still to this day that's out there.
I mean, don't you think that unless there's a body that shows, the more time that goes on and the more advanced technology gets, it's going to be harder and harder for somebody to prove it from a video alone or a photo
But are they going
alone,
extinct?
Right?
Are they going extinct? Is that why? Is that why we're seeing less and less sightings?
Why would they be going extinct? They're obviously not being hunted.
Dying over time. Maybe they don't have a long lifespan.
But if they're procreating, like they say they are, because that's why they're still alive.
But maybe they're not. Right? Who knows? Right? That's where it gets hard. That's where it gets hard. Is there's so much out there. Yeah, and there's, again, where are the bodies? Right? There's never any bodies, and is what every documentary that I've seen, every YouTube video that I've seen shows that the only way people are going to recognize Bigfoot as being real is if they find a body, and nobody has found a body. Right? Even if one dies, where do they just somehow evaporate into the ground?
Yeah.
Like, where do they go? Where do the bodies go?
Where's the 8-foot skeletal remains for someone to go, damn?
Right. They just found, not too long ago, they found dinosaur bones, right? Like they found, what was that one dinosaur that they found? It was like in the 90s. It was a T-Rex. They named it Sue. They found it in the Black Hills somewhere. There's a big hole. I think there's a documentary on it too, but yeah. Some people don't think dinosaurs are real. I don't know what the fuck is out of it. Dinosaurs are real, people. I don't know what the fuck. There are people out there who don't believe in dinosaurs, but where are the bones? Right?
Yeah.
Fossils. Where are they?
Yeah, they're finding remains of much, much older species.
Yeah, where the fuck are the bones?
Yeah. And in the Northwest, those areas are highly explored.
Right.
It's great weather for people to go climb mountains and go into caves and do all those sorts of things. It's a great climate for that. And you have to think that at some point in time, somebody found something. If there was something to be found,
Yeah. Right. They found millions of Rexes roamed the North America continent. I think you misspelled that. Are they digging underground though, like dinosaur hunters? I mean, they are. I mean, people constantly, even if they're not searching for Bigfoot, I think they're still searching for fossils or bones of species that are no longer here. So, at some point you think you would have to even accidentally stumble upon the remains of Bigfoot. I think that's a great point. Is why haven't we seen any sort of remains? I think that's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm on team not real.
Right.
If you give me 5 minutes, I'm sure I can use myself under deepfake video for you. So
I'd like to see that. Put it up on our Twitter.
It'll be a Tom Cruise face though, because it's just for fun.
That's okay. Just to make it fun, we can do that. But again, not. I would love to know that Bigfoot is real, but I think the evidence is pointing towards no, which is unfortunate for thousands of people.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that it would be cool. And I think that, like, wow, man, that'd be kind of cool. There's another part of it that's like, great, now the freaking crazy's got like some pedestal they're going to stand on now. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
But it's tough because the human aspect or side of things, right, is if you know somebody that is super into Bigfoot and believes Bigfoot is real, right? If you think that at all, and then it officially comes out that no, there's no such thing as Bigfoot. Like, that's going to have devastating effects on a lot of people.
Sure.
Devastating effects. And I know that, okay, yeah, we don't know these people, or they live in Timbuktu or whatever. They don't matter. But at the end of the day, they fucking matter. Right. And there's people and families out there who spent years of their lives, and it's going to be very devastating for a lot of people if it comes out that he's not real. So does the government have an incentive to keep these guys searching, to keep them from fucking losing their shit?
I think at some point in time it's got to stop, right? It's some point.
I mean, if it keeps everybody, I guess, in check, right? We won't go into that one, Paul, but we know what you're talking about. But you know what I mean?
News. I'm gonna get you a hoodie. This is Bigfoot is my homie.
Bigfoot is my. Hey, I'll wear it. Make sure you put an arrow and it goes like this, points over to you. Do that one. We'll make it there. But it's gonna suck. But I think the reason for the government not coming out and saying Bigfoot is not real is because it does seemingly keep a line of order for a large group of people. Imagine, what are some of the repercussions you think the government coming out and officially stating that it's not real? What happens?
I think there's going to be backlash from the community that supports it. And they would want to know what evidence they have to base that response on. Right.
But I mean, like some of the stuff that we just mentioned, right? And also, if it's a revenue driver, if we know that Tom Bacardi's production group, of that Bigfoot group, right, is making $10 billion its estimated value, the government is getting that money, right? The government is getting a portion of that money. So what's the incentive for them to sit there and say Bigfoot's not real?
Yeah,
there's none. There's none. They're making money.
Yeah.
They're making millions of, if not billions of dollars, fucking every time a t-shirt is made, every time socks, every time fake fucking feet are made.
Man, they better hope Bigfoot doesn't come collecting for his cut.
Yeah, it does. They don't. Paul, they don't.
He's gonna be moving on up.
Moving on up. Money is the motivating factor, I think, for a lot of this. The government's looking at it and be like, all right, let's let these guys continue to think that there's fucking this 8-foot tall, 1,000-pound ape that runs around killing chickens and attacking farmland, and we're gonna keep collecting a paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could say that because honestly, for them, it's better that they don't say anything, because if they know that it's not real, like I think that it's not real, then they know that it's fairly harmless. And on top of it being harmless, they're profiting from it. So,
yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a verdict. Bigfoot's not real?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
That's tough. Bigfoot's not real, guys. I think we found it out. Due to the research and digging of Mr. Nik, aka Two Steps. What's up? So, it's I think the vote's out. I think Bigfoot's not real. It's definitely unfortunate, because it would be cool to have,
I think the dreamers and all of us would say, hey, I kind of wish that it was, because that part of that would be kind of cool. Like, wow, how unique that this creature has lived in the woods for 50, 60, 70 years, like, and just has barely ever been seen, like, wow, that's crazy. But the reality is no.
Only thing that's real is the bottom line. The bottom line.
Stone Cold. Sorry.
We're going to get into WWE next. But yeah, I think, we're running up past the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, man, I want to thank everyone that's come by and hung out with us tonight. It's definitely fun talking to you guys and enjoying spending some time talking about some bullshit. Does anybody have any topics they want to go over next? I'm down for UFOs. I'm down to change the topic up completely. If you want to go cars, if you want to go sports, if we go sports, Nick will sit there with that pretty smile on his face and just shake his head and nod. But if we do cars, we'll flip the script and I'll do the same thing.
Bring back Marshawn.
Peyton Manning needs to come out of retirement.
Jerry Rice.
But does anybody here in the chat have any topics they want to discuss? And in the meantime, Nick, it was fun.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm looking. What the great thing about these is that I'm glad that our communities get involved, and we got a lot of support behind us. And then I think it's a great forum for us to all just kind of hang out. Like, we're not playing games, we're just kind of talking. And I think we're getting to know each other. We're also learning a little bit of things. Like, I think it's great for this. So I'm already looking forward to the next episode without even knowing what it is. So
yeah, me too.
Unless it's sports, then I'm sick.
So that won't be allowed. Paul in the chat, UFO Illuminati Secret Societies, MK Ultra, yeah, I think those are all good ones that we can. Schools should teach. I say what schools should teach and what they shouldn't. Yeah, I mean, we could definitely touch on that subject as well. I think there's a lot.
You know what? I would like to talk about at some point in time. One episode would be the Apple effect, and how Apple changed the way that we are consumers, and the way that companies present themselves, and how they really, I think, changed the bar of that. I think that is definitely an episode blessed in itself. Yeah, because you and me have been around the game long enough to where we've seen those changes hit the telecom industries, but it's way more than just the telecom industries.
Don't age me.
I mean,
don't age me.
I think I'm older than you, so it's cool.
That's right. Yeah, still young. Gotta love it. Not that young. Turn 35 here soon. But no, I think consumerism. Right, I think that's
pretty much, yeah. But it's also the way that it changed things, the way that it changed how customer services, the way that it changed packaging, the way that it changed pricing and what consumers are willing to pay, what's acceptable. Right, it changed so many things. You remember when the iPhone 2G came out and it was ludicrous?
I was a toddler, bro.
Oh, come on, bro. People are like, oh, wait, like, it's how much? People are like, there's no way I'm paying that much money for a phone. Now people are shelling out $1,200 left and right for fucking Maxes. Like, parents are buying them for their kids. And it's like this is not the world we used to live in. And all of this is about like that Apple effect. Yeah. So he's talking about Amazon, right? So same sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Amazon has had the same sort of effect. I'm just guilty of it too. I told myself that I was going to try to shop more local this year. Even though COVID has made that hard, I thought that I was going to try to. And I have tried shopping directly from certain businesses instead of like going straight to Amazon. But fuck, they're so damn convenient. It's hard not to. Right. And when we're all trying to stretch $1, it's like, well, shit, sorry. Amazon, they got the best price and they could have it to me today.
Yeah. Yep. They can have it for you that day. They can have it next day. Like there's no bullshit, right where it's coming from. Like the simplicity of Amazon is just so hard to pass up.
Yeah. So hard to pass up. I would love to do some along the lines of like consumerism or like the Apple effect essentially, and how that branches out to other things too. I'm not sure if you read the Steve Jobs book. It's an amazing book. Guy was pretty much a prick. Yeah. He was a prick that knew how to motivate people. So yeah. So I'm down for whatever.
It's going to be fun. I definitely am excited for the next week's podcast. And this is something that Nick and I will talk offline about. However, I would love to do a midweek podcast on top if time persists. I do like having these Sunday podcasts, but to have one in the middle of the week would be fun. It's just me. It feels like it goes a little bit too. I feel like
we could maybe do a Wednesday one. Let's take it offline. We'll talk about it. Maybe a Wednesday one I could do.
Yeah. So I'll be excited for that. But ladies and gentlemen, again, I want to thank everyone for coming to the Grumpy Hustle. And if you haven't done so already, follow us on Facebook at Grumpy Hustle, Twitter at Grumpy Hustle, Instagram Grumpy Hustle, and Twitch. You own it now at the Grumpy Hustle Podcast. Don't forget to drop us a follow. We are also on Spotify at the Grumpy Hustle Podcast. make sure we're still working on the Apple like we talked about. And then it's going to be up on YouTube at the Grumpy Hustle on YouTube as well. If you have any questions, you want to drop anything, you can reach us at our emails too, ray@thegrumpyhustle.com. And that is also Nick, right? Nick at thegrumpyhustle.com.
Yep, NIK.
As well. NIK, baby.
Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thanks for hanging out. Paul, thanks for coming in. Praz, thanks for coming in.
Yep.
You guys are fantastic. We are going to catch you.
Much love, guys. Appreciate it.
Next week. Peace.
Later, guys. We out.
We out.